Alrighty. It is time for the most honest video of the year. Probably the most honest video I'll ever make till next year, because it is time to look at my 2020 Spotify Wrapped. There is no hiding what is on the papers I'm currently holding with all my stats and stuff written out. I got no script for this. I'm just diving into the deep end and let's see how it goes. Two things. One, I don't actually have Spotify. I'm an Apple user. But if I said my Apple Replay, no one would know what that is. Everyone knows what Spotify Wrapped is, so that's why the title. And secondly, I'm currently fighting a bit of a cold. I wanted to record this and another video a few days ago, but I lost my voice entirely. So if I sound weird at any point in the video, that's why. And yeah, I'm just going to jump right in. First of all, the stats, just knock them out of the way. I listened to 602 hours of music this year, 673 different artists, and 624 albums. Nothing really surprises me here. I listen to a lot of music from a lot of genres, as you'll find out. So I've made my top 10 country songs. However, it gets a little repetitive with artists. So I've made my top 10 country songs with a 1 per artist rule. And that would go at number 10, Little Less Broken by Luke Bryan. Number 9 is Skeletons by Brothers Osborne. Number 8 is Paris, Illinois by Brett Eldredge. That one's surprising just because I didn't think that would be my most listened to song from that album. But now that I think about it, for context, I make a playlist every month that runs like an album, like 10 to 15 songs, and it just kind of fits the mood of the month. And I did use Paris, Illinois as the closer to, I believe, my August playlist, and so it would have got many listens there. 7 is Nothing New Under the Neon by Midland. I think this is one of the most underrated songs. I think it's incredible. The harmonies while they're in their falsetto. Oh, the piano. Everything about that song is amazing. 6 is Cold by Chris Stapleton. We all know my love for that. Number 5 is 2016 by Sam Hunt. That one caught me off guard because I love that song, but I didn't know I listened to it that many times. But thinking back, in quarantine when it came out, I was listening to that song quite a bit. Number 4 is Red Dirt Road, the Cody Johnson remake with Brooks and Dunn. My brother always trash talks me for this, and I feel like all the older people will as well. But I prefer the Cody Johnson version over the original. I like the slow-paced acoustic version as opposed to the fast-paced Brooks and Dunn one. I don't know, it just feels a lot more reflective, self-reflective, a lot more honest. I feel like the lyrics fit the sound of Cody's version better. It's kind of like the one meme, if you've seen it, where it's like the lyrics in the song and his pumped up kicks because it's this happy sounding song with these dark lyrics. I find the lyrics of Red Dirt Road just match up better with the Cody Johnson version production wise. I just like the slower acoustic one. Number 3 is Long Hair Country Boy by Cody Johnson. What an absolute jam. Number 2 is A Rock by Hardy. No surprise there. And number 1 is 7 Summers by Morgan Wallen. Zero surprises there. If you're wondering, my top 10 without the 1 person limit, it includes only Hardy, Cody Johnson, and Morgan Wallen. It goes Ain't Nothing to It, Monday Morning Merle, Dear Rodeo, Ain't a Bad Day, Give Heaven Some Hell, Long Hair Country Boy, Talkin' Tennessee, very underrated song, A Rock, More Than My Hometown, and 7 Summers. Now you understand why I made a separate list of the 1 per artist. And yeah, as for my top 10 songs, no genre barrier here. It's very heavy on one side, you'll see. I have no shame in this. That's the one thing. I've been very open on my Discord about my love for all the other genres as well as country music. I don't know if I've had a chance to voice that on the YouTube channel yet, but people who are on the Discord know that I'm a friend of all genres, and I have no shame in saying that there is 2 country songs on my top 10 of the year, both Morgan Wallen. You know what songs they are, but number 10 is Slow Dancing in the Dark by Joji. Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm floating in space listening to that song. If you have not heard it before, please, if you have not listened to this song, do yourself a favor and listen to it. It's not country by any means, but I feel like a lot of you will like it. Number 9, More Than My Hometown. Absolutely love that song. Really binge listened to it when it came out. Ivy by Frank Ocean, 42 plays. Great song. White Ferrari, Frank Ocean, 45 plays. Pink and White, Frank Ocean, 47 plays. Nights, Frank Ocean, 52 plays. You're starting to see where it's a little heavy. Blinding Lights by The Weeknd, at number 4 with 58 plays. I don't know anyone who doesn't like Blinding Lights. It's such a contagious good vibe. Even my dad likes it. And my dad has the most limited knowledge on anything new, but he likes Blinding Lights when I put it on. It's such an adrenaline rush of a song, which I think really enhances the experience. Your heart rate gets going, at least me, I get pumped listening to that song. Just a good time, real mood changer. Great song. Number 3, Stay by Post Malone, 68 plays. Obviously, I've expressed my love for Stay on this channel. I've dubbed it my favorite song of all time, so there's no surprises there. Self-Control, Frank Ocean, 71 plays. I have a playlist called My Hall of Fame, and it's in order my favorite songs of all time. Stay is number 1, but Self-Control by Frank Ocean is my second favorite song of all time. It's this beautiful electric guitar ballad, and at the end with the wavy atmosphere, the abundance, the chorus of vocals, it's just so nostalgic, and I think that really goes for the entire album Blonde. It's a great album to listen to in the summertime. It was my go-to when I watch the sunset, which is one of my favorite things to do ever. I love watching the sunset where I'm from, and Blonde by Frank Ocean, especially this year, has just been my go-to album, which is also why you see it so heavy in my top 10. But Self-Control is just such a perfect, calming song. Like, it just takes your stresses away for a second, and you get to listen to pure musicianship. I think Frank's vocals on that song are some of the best vocals he's ever had, and it's just, I don't know, it's a great R&B little vibe that lets you escape from the world. And number 1, Seven Summers, Morgan Wallen, 72 plays. No surprises. Alright, the nitty gritty stuff. My top 10 albums and my most listened to artists. I'm going to do artists first. I'm going to go in reverse order. So from, when I say least listened to, it's like least listened to on this chart. So it's really like my 12th most listened to artist. You get the point. Harry Styles, 8 hours of him. Yeah, again, no shame. I thought his Fine Line album, if you take out Adore You and Watermelon Sugar, is actually a really freaking good project. Songs like Cherry are just some of my favorite songs I discovered this year.
Don't you call him baby, we're not talking lately.
She as well, Fine Line. Both long songs as well. Like, She and Fine Line are both upwards of 6 minutes. So every time you listen to that, it's like listening to another song twice. So I see where the hours came in, and it was one of my favorite late night summer albums to listen to. Brad Paisley with 8 hours. Sounds about right. Tim McGraw with 8 hours. Again, no surprises there. Elton John with 9 hours. I'm not going to lie. At first, I thought that was a little high, but then I realized how often I listen to his Live in Australia album when I'm trying to fall asleep or doing work. And it's a long freaking album, so it adds up. It adds up. Joji, 9 hours. That caught me off guard. I know I listened to his new album Nectar quite a bit, and I did enjoy it a fair amount, but I did not know I listened to Joji for that long. Bruno Mars, 10 hours. I'm very open about Bruno Mars being one of my favorite pop artists of all time. I will never hesitate from saying I think Bruno is one of the best male vocalists of all time. And not so much his 2016 album, but I really enjoyed his first two, Doo-Wops and Hooligans and Unorthodox Jukebox. This great throwback jazzy sound. And one thing that's really unique to Bruno is his live performance. He's one of very few people left today that still incorporates true showmanship into his live performances, and it really just brings him to the next level in my opinion. It's things like that that just make you fall in love with an artist. I think the general art of performing is kind of dying, but that's a whole nother subject. But you look at the routines this guy prepares for every performance, it's just, he's able to captivate you in every way, shape, and form, and I love it. John Party, 10 hours. I won't lie, I thought that would be higher. It just feels like I went back to heartache medication so much this year, but maybe it was just for a handful of songs. But I did think 10 hours is a little low, but the numbers don't lie. We move forward. Mac Miller, 11 hours. One of my favorite discoveries of 2020. I only heard about him like over the last few months, and he's already garnered 11 hours of my time. I think Mac's music is, well, first of all, fantastic. I think he's got great lyrics. His voice is a very acquired taste. At first I didn't like it, but I've grown to love it. I think he has some of the finest instrumentals, and that's because it incorporates a lot of piano and strings. He obviously was enrolled in piano lessons and played piano for a long time as a child. But yeah, really sad to know Mac will never release any more music. It's like going back in time listening to his albums, but I won't get into that very much. All I'm going to say is Mac Miller's last 3 albums I think are incredible, and The Divine Feminine is one of my favorite to just throw on in the background while I'm working. Brooks and Dunn, 11 hours. No surprises there. Tying with Zach Brown for 11 hours. Yeah, I thought that'd be a little higher, but Hardy with 13 hours. That actually, it surprises me and it doesn't, because I listen to Iraq a lot, but it only came out in September. And prior to that, other than like He Went to Jared and Signed Sober You, didn't listen to a whole lot of Hardy, so I must have listened to Iraq a lot longer than I thought. Midland, 14 hours. Again, won't lie, thought that was going to be higher. I haven't gone back to their Let It Roll album as much as I thought I would, but I still go back to their On the Rocks constantly. You'll see that later. Post Malone, 19 hours. This is the biggest surprise on the list, just because I did not know I listened to Post Malone for 19 hours. I mean, doing the math, 3.5 of that is Stay Alone. It must have been the start of the year I would have listened to him quite a bit. Hollywood's Bleeding came out in September of 2019, so maybe the new hype of that album carried over into the new year. It would make sense, but yeah, did not know I listened to Post Malone for 19 hours. Number 5, we're in the top 5 now, Billy Joel, 20 hours. No surprises, I absolutely love Billy Joel. He's made some of my favorite songs of all time. I mentioned that Hall of Fame list. She's Always a Woman is right up there, as well as New York State of Mind. So no surprises there with Billy Joel being right up there. 4 and 3, Morgan Wallen and Cody Johnson both have 21 hours. Sounds about right. As you'll find out later in this video, and as I found out, I listen to If I Know Me a lot more than I realized, but when I think about it, I do throw it on in the background while I'm working or doing something, working out maybe. So it adds up for sure. I expected Morgan Wallen to be high on my list just because of how often I listen to songs like 7 Summers, but in terms of actual duration, I didn't know he'd be that high. Cody Johnson, this was a bit of a surprise, but especially the first half of the year, I was just like, my term again, binge listening Cody Johnson for the first half of this year. Not that I stopped listening to him the second half of the year, but it just slowed down a little. Number 2 is The Weeknd with 30 hours. That's a bit of a shock, but then again, I mean, he released After Hours, which is a massive release. I think After Hours is The Weeknd's best work to date. Just checking, After Hours is 56 minutes long, so that means I would have listened to it like 31 times through to get that. I don't think I did that, but I definitely listened to it several times through. I also love putting Trilogy on in the background while I'm working. Very heavy, dark music, but it actually is very nice to have in the background while doing schoolwork. And number 1, not a surprise here for me, Frank Ocean, 42 hours. Again, that Blonde album in the summertime on a sunset is untouchable. I keep saying I'm going to save my opinions on this album for maybe if I did a top 10 albums, but I'm just going to say it here. Blonde is my favorite album of all time, and I think it's the best album of all time, at least that I've listened to in my 17 years on this planet. Won't dive deep into it, but no surprises that Frank Ocean's my number 1 most listened to artist. Now, this top 10 albums. I don't know if I did this in the right order, so I don't know if this is what you were waiting for or if you were waiting for the stats that I just rung off in the first 10 seconds. Top 10 albums I listened to the most this year. Number 10, Reboot by Brooks and Dunn, 92 plays. Bit of a surprise, but at the start of the year, was really digging this album. I love so many songs on there, especially ones like Believe with Kane Brown. And I'm not a big fan of Kane Brown. I think he has some great songs, but especially now, he's just turning into a pop dump. But Kane has a really good voice, especially when you pair it with songs like Believe and these slower country ballads. I mean, we've all heard him sing 3 Wooden Crosses. He just has a great deep voice. Also, You're Gonna Miss Me When I'm Gone with Ashley McBryde is one of my favorites. Obviously, Red Dirt Road would be my favorite from that project. Boost Scootin' Boogie. So many great songs on that album. Number 9, Heaven or Hell by Don Toliver, 94 plays. This one definitely went up as the year went on. I listened to it like once or twice when it first came out, but man, it just grew and grew and grew on me. I think Heaven or Hell is a great, short, compact, to the point Don Toliver album. I think his singing, again, like Mac Miller, a very acquired taste. Auto-tuned, yes, but from an artistic standpoint, I actually think it's a very strong record. It has some of the best hooks we got in rap this year. Number 8 is Nectar by Joji, 98 plays. This is up there as the biggest shock of the year because like I said earlier, I enjoyed this project. Didn't know I enjoyed it enough to play it 98 times. Now, I must mention first, that doesn't mean I listened the whole thing through 98 times. I'm not sure how they calculate the album one. I believe it's every time you go to the album. So every time you select the album, you may only listen to a song or two, but every time you go to it, I think that counts as a play. You'll understand why I believe that as the numbers just go up and up and up. Number 7, On the Rocks by Midland, 99 plays. One of my favorite albums of all time. I was talking to a friend, and he said, what albums would you consider perfect or the best albums of all time? And the only two I could come up with were On the Rocks and Blonde. I don't know, there's just something about On the Rocks that is so right. And though Midland, like Let It Roll, I think that's a great album, but I just don't know if they'll ever be able to top On the Rocks. It's just front to back, it's a perfect length, the sequencing, the sound is so consistent and gorgeous. I just love it, so not surprised to see it in my top 10 for, I think, the third year in a row. Came out in 2017, only started listening to them in 2018, I believe. Number 6, with 115 plays, is Unorthodox Jukebox, Bruno Mars. Again, I've said this, big fan of Bruno Mars. No surprises there. Songs like Natalie, When I Was Your Man, If I Knew, which I think might be Bruno Mars' most underrated song. If you do not know If I Knew, please listen to it. It's this great 60s jazz pop rock song. The percussion is so organic, it just works. It sounds like it was recorded 50 years ago, and it's just been brought up into this 2012 album. Great album though, very strong. Number 5, If I Know Me by Morgan Wallen, 157 plays. This is the biggest shock, but it's the most justified shock at the same time because, again, like I said, the more that I think about it, I put this album on a lot when I worked out. Songs like Not Good at Not, If I Ever Get You Back, they're just faster songs that get me going. Didn't know I visited it 157 times, but one thing I think may have tipped this over the edge is Talkin' Tennessee. I think that is one of Morgan's top 3 songs of all time. I think it's very underrated. Not many people know it, especially his acoustic performance he did for Vivo. Oh my gosh, that is good. But yeah, because every time I went to search for Talkin' Tennessee, I would have to go to the album. I don't know how the counting works, but yeah, definitely surprised that I listened to If I Know Me 157 times. Number 4, A Rock by Hardy, 161 plays. This, now that I think about it, right now it's a bit of a shock because it came out September 4th, I believe. So I've had, 3-4 months to listen to it, and I went to it 161 times. Bit of a shock. To podium, number 3 is After Hours by The Weeknd, 182 times. As I said, maybe The Weeknd's best work to date, highly anticipated, because unless you consider My Dear Melancholy an album, it's his first album in 4 years. I was all over this thing, especially with my friends. We were all over it, and it's just front to back. Like, songs that weren't big on me in the beginning have just all grown on me, especially ones like Faith. You got Save Your Tears, which is such a throwback jam. Too Late, though maybe the most disturbing music video I've ever seen, is such a funky groove. But yeah, not surprised at all there. I really enjoyed that project, as I've said many times. I'm going to stop going on. Number 2, Ain't Nothing to It, 223 plays. That's a lot. Yeah, did not know I listened to Ain't Nothing to It. Not listened, but went to it 223 times. I knew it would be up there as one of my most listened to albums. I think it's really, really good. It's probably Cody Johnson's best album, in my opinion. But 223, that is a heckin' lot of times I visited it. But then again, you got songs like his cover of Husbands and Wives. You got Dear Rodeo, Monday Morning Merle, and Long Haired Country Boy. And I guess it adds up. Number 1, no surprises. If you've been paying attention to this video, I'm sure you can guess. Blonde by Frank Ocean. Big jump here, 391 plays. But not surprised at all. Like I said, no hesitation, my favorite album of all time. This summer, I went to it so much. I listened through it so much. I listened to it on the bus. I listened to it when I'm sleeping. Blonde is just art. That's how I would describe it. It's listed as pop on Apple Music and streaming services, which I guess is right because it doesn't really fit anywhere else, but Blonde is art. I don't care what you say. And Frank, it's been 5 years. I think it's time to drop a new album. So, yeah, that was my 2020 Spotify Wrapped in air quotations, really my Apple Music replay. I must admit, after seeing people's Spotify Wraps on their stories, Spotify gives a much more in-depth review of your music taste from the past year, but I still enjoy looking at stuff like this. I'm very curious to see what it'll look like next year and how that matches up to previous years like this year. Predictions, I would expect Mac Miller to be up there this year because, man, I love his music in the background while I'm working. It's just, it's such easy listening, like jazzy hip-hop. It's like old school jazz hip-hop. It's really a really nice listen. Frank Ocean will probably stay up there. The Weeknd will drop down because the After Hours was a big release, and that'll get old, although he's rumored to release a new album in 2021, so back-to-back albums, that would be big, and in which case he'd probably come back up. Morgan Wallen will definitely be up with his new album, especially the length of it. If I'm going to listen through it twice, that's already 3 hours, so you can expect to see him high. Midland, if they do this little every 2 years they drop an album, we could be looking at a rise of them, although they've not released any singles or anything, so I'm not really expecting much from them. Post Malone will probably drop, although I think he's supposed to release an album in 2020, so now it looks like 2021. Yeah, not gonna lie, my music taste expanded a lot this year, and so outside of country, my music taste got less mainstream, so I'd expect Post Malone to kind of fall off a little bit there. I know I say it's less mainstream, and then I have Frank Ocean and The Weeknd as my two biggest, but you get the point. Yeah, I'm going to stop rambling now. I think this video is well long enough. It's going to be a lot of fun to edit. That's sarcastic. I'm very interested to see the response to this video, what you guys say in the comments. If some people are going to be mad and try and discredit my country opinion because I also listen to other music. Super interested to see the response on this. But I'm not going to try and hide anything. Like, that would just be pointless. This is my music taste from the last year. Take it or leave it, love it or hate it. I think I've said everything I needed to, so yeah, have a great day.